We often read or hear stories from all over the world about beasts that could be described as real prehistoric creatures. Tropical regions are especially prone to this, such as the wild areas of Africa or the boundaries of the Amazon rainforest. However, there are reports that inform about alleged encounters with animal species that could be dinosaurs, something completely extraordinary. The burrunjor, the TRex, the Velociraptor. Today, we will show you 5 meat-eating dinosaurs that could be alive. Number 5. Kaisa Rex. The first of the dinosaurs on this list is known as Kaisa Rex, a carnivorous dinosaur, specifically a theropod, whose contradictory descriptions have put the entire scientific community. There have been several sightings throughout the years, but the most popular one took place in 1932. A Swedish plantation owner named John Johnson and his African servant were once walking through the Kaisa Valley in Africa. The location of this particular sighting was where the creature got its name. When they came across a grazing rhinoceros, they were careful not to disturb the animal. All of a sudden, a 40-foot-long, 2-legged lizard-like beast ambushed the rhino. During this attack, Mr. Johnson actually fainted, while his servant ran away in terror. When Johnson woke up, the creature was still feeding on the rhino carcass. He described the animal as having long, sharp teeth, big jaws, a long, thick tail, and thick legs, which he said reminded him of the legs of a lion. He also described the color of the creature, dark red, with dark-colored, vertical stripes running down its neck, back, and tail. This is the only existing testimony of the Kaisa Rex, an animal that would fit perfectly with the description of an alleged Tyrannosaurus and that, in theory, would have been photographed on 2 occasions. Can you believe it? Number 4. Ceratosaurus. On April 15, 1908, a very curious account from a Georges Dupuy appeared in the French journal Jesuitois and told of a harrowing encounter supposedly experienced by 2 hunters out in the frigid, remote wilderness of Yukon Territory in Canada. According to the report, San Francisco banker James Lewis Butler and a local gold miner named Tom Leemore had been out hunting moose in the area of Yukon's Clear Creek. Everything was passing off normally until 3 moose were startled by something that wasn't visible among the trees. However, James and Tom weren't about to give up their hunt, and so they tracked the moose through the wilderness. But then they came across quite the unexpected sight. There were immense tracks that neither of them had ever seen before, measuring 2.5 feet across and 5 feet in length. In addition, they found the impression from a tail dragging behind whatever it was. They tried to follow the tracks, but they soon vanished into a rocky area that led into a perilous gorge. The search was finally called off. Butler and Leemore decided to go get help, making their way to a remote outpost called Armstrong Creek, where they found the explorer and writer of the article, Georges Dupuy, a French-Canadian missionary named Father Pierre Lavignon, and 5 local native guides to tag along. Their foolhardy expedition found them camp out on a ridge overlooking the area where the massive monster had disappeared, but it would soon make an appearance. It was here on that lonely ridge where the group of men would observe an outlandish beast said to measure nearly 50 feet long. With an estimated weight of 40 tons and the whole of it covered in coarse black hair or bristles reminiscent of those of a wild boar, the creature was described as being bipedal and possessing a formidable mouth full of teeth and a single imposing horn upon its snout. All of them were convinced that what they were seeing was an extinct dinosaur similar to the T-Rex, the Ceratosaurus. Number 3. Velociraptor. From the unexplored jungle in the middle of the island of Nusa Kembang in Indonesia, we also get reports of a bipedal dinosaur-like creature known locally as kawuk. This animal is said to be a giant lizard measuring 5 feet in height and curiously resembling a Komodo dragon. The only difference is that this beast walks on its 2 hind legs. Locals claim that these mostly nocturnal creatures are fond of raiding graves to feast on recently buried corpses, but they also have a reputation for being truly aggressive, going so far as to attack anyone who crosses their path without being provoked. Although sightings of this mysterious giant Komodo dragon have been occurring for quite some time, In 2014, they gained some prominence after a fishing guide on the island made the discovery. The guide, known only as Harry, was out for a walk with some friends when they allegedly saw a group of animals surrounding the carcass of one of their own. Some of the theories trying to explain Kawuk's true nature suggest that it could be a species of unknown monitor lizard or even a remnant population of some kind of theropod dinosaur, such as the Velociraptor, but no one can confirm this with certainty. Do you think this is just a legend, or could it be true? Number 2. Mini T-Rex. From Colorado have long come reports of bipedal, lizard-like creatures said to be similar to theropod dinosaurs, measuring around 3.5 feet tall and between 5 feet to 7 feet long. They are usually described as having very prominent, powerful hind legs and 2 smaller appendages instead of forelegs. These mysterious creatures are often collectively referred to as mini T-Rexes, river dinos, and also river lizards, due to their apparent habit of lurking in wet environments near water. One man in Pueblo, Colorado, told the North American Bio 14 Review about his own experiences with the river lizards. He claimed that he had been out riding dirt bikes with a friend when they noticed a strange creature moving through the clearing ahead of them. It was described as being a reptilian creature of some kind, around 4 feet long and greenish in color, with black markings on its back and orange coloring on its underbelly, and which walks swiftly on its hind legs without dragging its tail. The man explained that the front legs of the creature were significantly shorter than the hind legs and had 3 or 4 claws. He also recalled that it had a kind of a lump or horn over each eye and that it let out a loud, high-pitched shriek when it saw them. Despite the danger, they managed to take a couple of photographs of this supposed miniature T-Rex, which were later analyzed by cryptozoologist Chad Arment, but, due to their poor quality, did not reveal anything important. Other photos of the river dinos have cropped up over the years as well. Perhaps the most famous of these is this one. It shows an unidentified man holding a rifle in one hand and what appears to be a small, dead bipedal dinosaur in the other. It is unknown exactly when or where the mysterious photo was taken, except that it is somewhere in Colorado. Considering there is very little information on the origins of the photo, and that Armet has been unsuccessful in tracking down the one who originally sent it, we will probably never know for sure. Number 1. Burnjor. One of Australia's most extraordinary creatures is the burrunjor, a giant bipedal reptile with strong legs and small arms that could reach a height of over 24 feet. Does it look familiar to you? There are numerous reports about different encounters with this type of beast in some of the region's forests, as well as of the discovery of its enormous footprints, characterized by having only 3 toes. One notable sighting was made in 1957 near the MacArthur River, when around 50 cattle began to panic for no discernible reason. The attendant ranchers couldn't figure out what was going on, and right about at that point, another rancher reportedly went running and screaming by in the distance towards a nearby river. At that moment, there was reported a booming, loud grunting noise, and there was reported the sight of a tall shadow stalking off into the distance. After this incident, there were found to be several dead, mutilated cattle, their corpses brutally mauled and half-eaten as if by a large crocodile. In 1978, a bushman and explorer named Brian Clark was in the Northern Territory tending cattle in the remote area of Urumqi in Arnhem Land. When they camped out for the night, 2 of the Aborigine guides woke up in a panic, and Clark noticed that the ground seemed to be slightly shaking. They all got their things together and headed out, and a policeman who investigated the report would later claim to have heard an ominous huffing sound from the brush, as if from a large animal. The police would then cryptically warn Clark not to go into the region again because it was not considered safe. Some candidates for the burrunjor include a possible Allosaurus, a Utahraptor, or some other medium-sized theropod. What is most striking about the stories about this mysterious animal, unlike most accounts of cryptids, is that its sightings and reports seem to be prolonged over time and quite convincing. Yes, at first glance, all this seems impossible. How can such animals survive without anyone noticing it? For something like this to be possible, it would require stable living communities, hundreds of individuals, specific climatic conditions, and even huge amounts of food. A dinosaur does not have such a long life expectancy, so it is difficult to predict what its behavior would be. But if we know one thing for sure, and there is still a lot of world left to discover, nothing is really impossible. Would you like to know more about these stories? If so, check out our next video.